Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Victor Moyakane, and of course on sign language we have none other than Catherine Simaloy, and together we bring you the Daily Report. But first, the highlights. Emotions run high at the Nakuru Law Courts after Justice Julius Nangea declined to issue further orders in the case of the missing fisherman Brian Odhiambo. The judge dismissing a habeas corpus petition concerning Odhiambo's disappearance. And an MP presents a proposal to the Speaker suggesting the removal of the voters' card requirement for elections. The proposal pushes for using the national ID as the official means of voting in Kenya. And due to the escalating impact of climate change, over 1,000 African bush elephants in Rimoi National Reserve, located in Elgeyo Marakwet, are facing an increased risk of extinction. All that and so much more tonight. All right, that and so much more we have tonight for you. Please send in your feedback and your views through the SMS line on your screen. Also, the WhatsApp number will be running on the screen at some point. And you can also talk to us on Twitter at TV47 News, at Moyakane. I'll be happy to sample it and respond to you live. But without ado, let's begin our coverage. And tensions ran high at the Nakuru Law Courts as emotions spilled over following a court ruling in the case of missing fisherman Brian Odhiambo. The court declined to issue further directions or orders on the habeas corpus application, leaving Brian's family and supporters frustrated. This, of course, Justice Julius Nangea states that the first and second respondents had denied holding Brian in custody, and without evidence, the court could not proceed. Our reporter Chichi Josephine has the details.
Chaos erupted as emotions ran high at the Nakuru Law Courts after the court ruled to give no further directions or orders in relation to the habeas corpus application in the case of Brian Odhiambo. The court saying that there was no sufficient evidence to prove that Odhiambo was in the custody of KWS.
And there being no sufficient evidence to the contrary, no further orders or directions will be issued.
The family of missing Nakuru fisherman, including his mother and wife, breaking into tears after Justice Julius Nangea declined to issue further orders in his disappearance case.
Let the prosecution process that is underway take its course.
Locals and activists expressed their dissatisfaction with the court ruling, saying that the court had failed to ensure justice for Brian.
Tunasikitika sana leo sisi kama wananchi kwa sababu Brian hana mtu anaweza kumtetea.
This decision sets a very bad precedent in our country that police can arrest and even confirm and then come to court and claim that the suspect ran away and that the court will side with them.
While strongly faulting the judge for rendering the ruling in their absence, the lawyers revealed that they will consider making an application to appeal the case, as well as ask the court to institute a formal inquest into Brian's disappearance.
In paragraph 9 of that ruling, the court agrees with us. It's mind-boggling that Brian would disappear into thin air from the custody of KWS officers without trace, and he wouldn't go to his home.
Even after the court opted not to give further orders concerning Brian Odhiambo's case for alleged lack of sufficient evidence that the suspect is in custody, the question that lingers is, where is Brian Odhiambo? Reporting for TV47 from the Nakuru Law Courts, my name is Chichi Josephine.
Now, after months of fear and uncertainty, 45-year-old Florence Munyao is finally back home. She was among the Kenyan truck drivers abducted last year by a militant group in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, safely reunited with her family in Machakos County, Florence recounts the terrifying ordeal she endured in the hands of her captors. Anastasia Mukabi brings us her story.
With the instability caused by the M23 rebels in DRC Congo, a section of Kenyans were detained by the military forces last year in Congo, claiming that they are helping the rival group M23 in fighting them. Florence Munyao was one of the abductees who narrates her ordeal under the military forces.
Nikasikia vijana kutoka chini ya trailer, vijana nikasikia wamekuja wananiambia kuna wasoda hapa wanataka kupiga hii gari masasi. Mimi nikashindwa, masoda wanataka kupiga gari masasi kwa nini? Ama ni vile nimefunga barabara, lakini nikaona nikajiuliza tena kuna gari imepita hapa mguu 10 na imepita vizuri.
After a few months of torture and thorough investigations on Florence, the abductors realized that she was just a mere driver and decided to send her home. The army boss who hosted Munyao at Goma in Congo ahead of her planned flight to Nairobi some days before Christmas confirmed that Kenyan authorities were involved in securing her release. However, the intense fighting around Goma delayed the plan to airlift her to Kenya.
Nichukue basi niende Kenya. Hiyo tarehe 30 ndio brother yake alinizindikisha. Nikaenda akanipeleka kwa boda ya saidi ya Kongo, nikagongewa passport, nikaingia saidi ya Rwanda, nikagonga passport, nikaingia Kisenyi, nikachukua basi. Nikakuja nikashukia Kampala. Shukia Kampala nikachukua Nissan nikanileta Busia. Busia nikapata rafiki yangu akaona lori, nikapanda akanifikisha Kisumu. Kisumu nikaconnect na lori nyingine ikanileta mpaka Nairobi.
Friends and family members of Munyao are celebrating the return of their long-gone daughter, for they had given up on seeing her.
Asante sana kwa Mungu kwa ajili amemfungulia. Amefanya vitendo nzuri. Ameona vile nimehangaika mpaka akamfungulia, nimesema asante.
Tulikuwa tunaumia kwa kuwa tuko tunajua hatima yake, mara watu wakitekwa nyara mara nyingi huwa wanauliwa, lakini tunamshukuru Mungu kwa kuwa tumempata tena na tumempata yeye mzima.
Anastasia Mukabi, TV47.
All right, still on matters DRC, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has been the leader of the Nairobi peace process, now says that the 2023 DRC elections and lack of political goodwill undermined the process. In his address, through spokesperson Kanze Dena Mararo, Kenyatta lamented that the Nairobi peace process, though temporarily sidelined, remains a critical framework for dialogue and conflict resolution in the eastern DRC. George Maringa has the latest.
Let me begin first by apologizing. I know I'm not the person you were expecting when you came today.
For a former head of state who has been cautious with his statements ever since he retired, when his spokesperson appears unaccompanied, makes a short briefing and doesn't take questions, you know it's not business as usual in the region. For starters, Uhuru steered clear of allegations made by Rwanda's President Paul Kagame at the start of the week.
They talked about Rwanda, they talked about the Nairobi process. Honestly, even here, maybe you will help me understand what all this means. The processes became an end in themselves. And the people leading these processes became more important than the results of the processes. The Nairobi process became a Uhuru process. Then the Rwanda process, it's like you can't say anything that will displease President Lorenzo.
On that one, Uhuru says the process was overshadowed by other issues.
Now, progress through June 2023 was encouraging. The facilitator, President Kenyatta, conducted extensive diplomatic engagements, meeting with political, civil, military stakeholders across the region.
Uhuru vehemently defending the progress that the Nairobi peace process had made.
However, in June 2023, as the all-important 4th Intra-Congolese Dialogue Conference was set to take place, political attention in the Democratic Republic of Congo shifted toward the upcoming national elections that are to be held that year, that is 2023, in December. The shift resulted in the slowing down of the Nairobi peace process, and unfortunately at the same time, a political impasse resulted in the withdrawal of the Kenya forces from the ECRAF.
As EAC and SADC leaders prepare for the upcoming summit, Uhuru, who submitted his full report and details to the African Union, EAC and SADC secretariats seemed to offer counsel on the way forward.
The Nairobi peace process, though temporarily sidelined, remains a critical framework for dialogue and conflict resolution in the Eastern DRC. The facilitator is of the strong opinion and belief that the two processes of Luanda and Nairobi hold the greatest promise for a resolution and termination of the crisis in the Eastern DRC. The two processes are complementary and interdependent.
Who will blink first?
That peace is paramount in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo is not a secret. However, the Nairobi-led peace process has hit headwinds, and even as President Uhuru Kenyatta maintains that he remains committed to the peace process, eyes will be on the heads of state who will be convening in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania over the weekend for the EAC SADC Summit. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, George, for that insightful piece. Now, tonight, President Ruto's ally, Kimilili MP Didmus Barasa, has written to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, seeking to amend the Elections Act and allow Kenyans to use identity cards to vote. Now, the legislator argues that it does not make sense to register Kenyans to vote when their IDs are already registered. With, of course, now he's arguing that the process is too costly, the process of registering Kenyans with voting cards. And as Apollo Kamau reports, this comes a day after President Ruto revoked mandatory vetting for ID issuance in northern Kenya.
The radical proposal by the Kimilili MP to amend the Elections Act and have Kenyans vote with identity cards, if approved by Parliament, will drastically change how Kenyans vote in 2027, while eliciting questions on the motive behind the push.
I am going to propose an amendment to the Elections Act, where it will no longer be a requirement by IEBC to register a Kenyan as a voter. As long as you have a national ID card, you are free to enter into a polling station and cast your vote in favor of the candidate of your choice. It is necessary for IEBC to reinvent the wheel again by registering voters.
Barasa, in a letter to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, dated January 3rd, and which he claims has been approved by the Speaker, says, and I quote, "I am willing to propose amendments to the Elections Act to scrap voter registration exercised by the IEBC and ensure that every Kenyan holding a national identification card automatically becomes eligible to vote in an election."
I don't have to seek blessings from the party's top brass. I am a member of, I am a legislature. My role is to enact laws. So I am going to propose those legislation that Kenyans should be spared from all these wallabaloos of registering as voters, as long as you have a national ID card.
In case the amendment goes through, IEBC, which is the custodian of the voters' register, under Article 88 of the Constitution and the Elections Act, will be forced to work with the Ministry of Interior to tap into their database to verify voters.
Kenyans are getting government services by production of their national identity cards. Why will a Kenyan be denied an opportunity to vote in a general election by production of the same document that you have again to register with the IEBC? No. You know, we are making voting a very big deal in our country. Voting is never a big deal in countries with developing democracy. You go to America, you go to Europe, Voting is not an issue. People go to vote in public booth. You just go there, then you take your vote.
Proponents of why Kenyans should vote with IDs argue the process of registering voters, cleaning and maintaining the voters' register every election cycle has become costly for IEBC.
Bwana Ado Farah Adan.
Didma's legislative proposal has raised eyebrows, coming at a time President William Ruto has revoked a 60-year policy requiring northeastern residents to be vetted before they are issued with IDs.
Ile vetting ambayo imesumbua wananchi wa Northern Kenya kwa miaka 60. Leo nimesema hiyo maneno ya vetting iondolewe, ndio vijana wote wa Kenya wapate vitambulisho vile wa Kenya wengine wanapata vitambulisho bila ya matatizo.
Apul Kamau, TV47.
In other news, President William Ruto has once again fired back at government critics, particularly those opposing the livestock vaccination campaign, asserting his authority and confirming that he knows what he's doing. Speaking to locals in Sugmugdi in Garissa County, Ruto defended his administration, stating that he is well educated while his critics lack the necessary education to understand his work.
Kama tuko na magonjwa kwa ng'ombe zetu, kama tuko na magonjwa kwa mbuzi zetu, tutakuwa wenyewe tuna undermine ile market ambayo tungepata ya mifugo yetu, market ya Kenya, market ya East Africa, market ya Africa na market ya kitaifa, ya kimataifa. Mimi nataka niwaulize nyinyi watu wa Garissa. Si mnajua tunauza chai ng'ambo? Si mnajua tunauza kahawa ng'ambo? Si mnajua tunauza mambo hiyo ingine ng'ambo? Hata maua pamoja na mboga tunauza ng'ambo. Tukiuza nyama ng'ambo iko makosa? Tukiuza maziwa ng'ambo iko makosa? Sasa watu wanatuletea Kiingereza kidogo kidogo. Si ndio? Na mkiona wale wanalalamika ni watu sijui wamesomea wapi. Si mimi niko na PhD. Si mimi naelewa nini inaendelea Kenya. Sasa mimi napata watu wengine wako na elimu kidogo kidogo wanajaribu kunifundisha. Mnanifundisha kazi gani?
I was just looking at that story and wondering to what end all this will lead us. But ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it going. And of course, still in matters politics, Bomet Governor Hilary Barchok is under investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission over allegations of embezzlement and conflict of interest. The governor was arrested early in the morning at his Bomet residence and taken to the EACC offices in Nakuru for questioning. According to EACC officials, 8 other government officers and 2 contractors have also been arrested in connection with the probe. Paul Kirobi has more on this developing story.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC has questioned Bomet Governor Hilary Barchok this afternoon regarding allegations of stealing public funds. In a statement issued by EACC, the commission revealed that 8 other officials and 2 contractors are under investigation for conflict of interest and theft of public funds involving fraudulent payments of amounting to 1.4 billion shillings. The funds were paid to suppliers and contractors who are senior employees within the Bomet County government. After months of investigations, EACC obtained a court order and raided Governor Barchok's residence in Nairobi City and Bomet counties. At his home in Bomet, EACC confiscated several mobile phones belonging to officials at the residence. The governor was later escorted to the county offices. According to EACC, 100 official stamps linked to the case were seized from the home of the road engineer and 21 stamps were recovered from his county office. EACC spokesperson Eric Ngumbi stated that this is part of the continuing investigation into conflict of interest and theft of public funds in Bomet County. Governor Barchok is the first governor under Kenya Kwanza administration to be arrested by EACC officials. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
With the fate of the Chief Justice hanging in the balance, the judiciary finds itself in the spotlight once again. The Judicial Service Commission has initiated proceedings that could lead to her removal. But the judiciary is pushing back, highlighting its progress in accountability and judicial independence. Meanwhile, lawyers under the Young Lawyers for Justice Forum have condemned what they call executive intimidation and defiance of court orders. Mike Kagwongo has the details.
With Chief Justice Martha Koome on the receiving end following pressure from a section of lawyers to step down on the grounds of misconduct, graft and misbehavior, the judiciary is still on course to execute its mandate as JSC conducts its investigation. Lawyer Nelson Harvey filed a petition on January 10, 2025. Seeking the removal of CJ Martha Koome, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu and 5 other Apex Court judges. As pressure mounts against Koome, judiciary says its primary focus and aspirations remains to impact individual lives and transform society through justice. Speaking here in Nairobi Thursday, newly appointed judiciary spokesperson Paul Ntemo Maina highlighted strides made from a mysterious institution to a judiciary that seeks every opportunity to explain its services through open days and other interventions.
We have come from an unreliable institution, so low in public confidence and trust, to a place where we are receiving an overwhelming number of cases that are filed annually.
In a move to highlight the steps made, the Koome-led arm of government said a total of 516,121 cases were filed in 2024. Pending cases at the end of the year were 635,262 to be handled by 207 judges and 600 magistrates and qadis.
And these cases are handled by 207 judges and approximately 600 magistrates and qadis.
Meanwhile, lawyers under the Young Lawyers for Justice Forum have told the executive to stop intimidating judiciary and defying court orders. The lawyers raised the alarm, arguing the judiciary is under attack from what they termed as institutionalized impunity.
Kenya's judiciary, enshrined in Article 160 of the Constitution, is under unprecedented attack. The executive's wanton defiance of court orders, well-calculated attacks, intimidation and coercion of judges grossly violate the independence of the judiciary.
They now want the judiciary to remain firm and uphold its independence, as guaranteed by the Constitution in the wake of security withdrawal for Chief Justice Martha Koome and the judiciary. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the Kenya Pipeline Company, KPC, could soon go public, with the government considering listing it on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Treasury CS John Mbadi made the announcement on Thursday while receiving an interim dividend check of 3 billion shillings from the company. This move could mark a significant shift in the state's approach to managing key parastatals. In other news, stakeholders and activists are calling for urgent action to combat female genital mutilation in the country, with a national goal of eradicating the practice by 2030. However, fresh concerns have emerged in Meru, where cases have risen by 18% in the past year. As Kinto Wafula reports, fear is growing that efforts to end FGM could be losing ground.
During a national event held in Meru County to commemorate the fight against FGM, it was revealed that the county has recorded an 18% increase in FGM cases, at the same time being noted that healthcare officers in the area are taking part in boosting the barbaric culture.
These numbers are not just statistics, they represent lives affected, dreams curtailed, and futures compromised. FGM is a violation of human rights and an infringement on the dignity, health, and well-being of girls and women.
Despite the government stating that it has made progress in combating FGM, reducing its prevalence to 14% through collaboration with various organizations, Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza has called for more financial boost to fight the menace to the society.
Pesa ya serikali ilitumika pale, more than 40 million. mtusaidie tuweze kuanzia hiyo project ya kurescue watoto wetu na pia kufanya counseling.
Kwa hivyo tunaomba sisi sote ili tuweze kuimarisha ushirikiano wetu, tukisema ya kwamba hayawezekani na tunataka tabia hii ikomeshwe, kila mtu tushikane sako kwa bako ili tupambane na hali hii.
Elsewhere in Kisii County, stakeholders likewise expressed concerns over continued practicing of FGM, calling for invocation of relevant laws to punish perpetrators of the retrogressive practice, whose prevalence in the county stood at 74%.
Na binadamu anakatwa sehemu ya mwili. Hiyo ni kama kiungo, tuseme kama jicho. Ukitunga jicho na sindano, basi umeharibu hilo jicho.
Wasichana ambao hawajatahiriwa wako na market sana. So ni vizuri na wasi wazazi wenzangu tuachane na hayo maneno na tusimame imara.
Kinto Wafula, TV47.
Thousands of teachers across the country are facing a healthcare crisis, with many unable to access medical services due to unpaid insurance claims. The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, says that hospitals have turned away teachers and their families for months now, forcing them to pay out of pocket for medical expenses. As Ruga Ival reports, the situation is taking a toll on both educators and the quality of education.
It is a sick state of affairs for many teachers after many hospitals sent letters suspending medical services to them due to unpaid insurance claims.
So it is very imperative for us as a Kenya National Union of Teachers, and we have come here and we are going to lack manners and misbehave. We are demanding that decision must be resigned immediately from tomorrow midnight, or today midnight.
The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers now complaining about the lack of adequate health insurance for its members. For 7 months now, many teachers have not been accessing medical care.
Many hospitals are withholding services or demanding out-of-pocket payments before attending teachers. The crisis lies squarely at the door of the National Treasury, which has not remitted funds to the Teacher Service Commission.
Health insurance providers are calling for 11 billion Kenyan shillings from the Treasury as hospitals continue to deny treatment to teachers due to outstanding insurance payments. Moses Ndorima, the acting Secretary General of KUPPET, now revealing that many families are struggling to access even basic health care, let alone the specialized treatments needed in emergencies where lives hang in the balance between life and death.
Teachers' health is also a major determinant of their productivity at work. So when teachers go to hospitals and they queue for the whole day, sometimes they are told we are not giving services. That's a violation of human dignity.
This comes after facilities such as Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital demanded payment before continuing services, claiming they are owed millions, specifically 80 million Kenyan shillings, and cannot provide health care until the debt is fully settled.
They owe the hospital in excess of 80 million. And this money has not been reimbursed, despite us giving services, and the contract is very clear that once we give a service and invoice, the money should be reimbursed within 60 days from the time of invoicing. However, this has not been the case, and therefore the hospital is straining financially to sustain giving the services.
It is not just Kisii Hospital. Other facilities such as Siloam Hospital, AGC Tenwick Hospital in Bomet County, Chelimo Mission Hospital in Kericho County, and Real Hospital in Uasin Gishu County have also suspended their services. Solidarity forever. Many have expressed their frustration over neglect from both Ministries of Education and Treasury. Despite receiving mega salaries, they face severe consequences due to inadequate coverage with family health, continuing to deteriorate day by day under these challenging circumstances. Ruga Evil, TV47.
Now we take a short break. We'll be right back with more stories after the break. Please.
ready to elevate your business game.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Welcome back. If you're joining us right now, this is TV47 Daily Report with me, Victor Muyakane, and Catherine Simaloy on Sign Language. Now over to medical matters, and the doctor strike at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital has entered its day 2, leaving hundreds of patients stranded. The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union now says that doctors on contract do not receive the same benefits as their permanently employed counterparts, leading to the ongoing standoff.
Ongea na viongozi wa MTRH na ingawa kuna matumaini bado hatuje call off strike kwa sababu the critical issues ambazo tulikuwa tumeweka kwa hiyo strike notice bado hazijakuwa addressed.
That doctors be given the benefits in that CBA because we've already finished the negotiations, we have signed and we have agreed on most of the clauses in that CBA between the union and management. So when we started our strike, it is true that Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital management has called for a meeting. We had a meeting yesterday from the afternoon to late evening, and we were able to go through item by item in the issues that form the grievances of the doctors that occasioned the strike. We were able to make strides on some of the issues, but other matters were left in abeyance.
Now, the threat, of course, we're looking at, later on we shall be looking about a story on the threat to elephants at the Rimoi Reserve. That will come a little bit later on. But first, let's have a look at the situation where a future where every woman can access life-saving medicines and every child gets a healthy start is within reach. This was the focus of the AxMed Access Summit, where the Health Cabinet Secretary, Deborah Barasa, emphasized the need for equitable healthcare access for all Kenyans. She reiterated that the government's commitment is active to ensure affordable, high-quality medication while also supporting local pharmaceutical manufacturing to reduce dependency on foreign suppliers.
We look at Taifa Care, one of the areas we're looking into is medicines. How do we get accessible, affordable, quality medicines to all Kenyans? And we are happy because of partners like AxMed who are looking to support this. These will include areas of bulk procurement. As we know, when there's buying of medicines individually, then the prices really skyrocket. But with interventions that are coming in place and we are having bulk procurement as a country, then the prices drastically reduce. And so we'll be engaging in those areas, the area of local manufacturing, as well as improving supply chain of medications to the last mile, and hence making it accessible to all Kenyans.
Procurement and demand aggregation is a powerful tool through which we can ensure the best quality medicines get to patients at the best price. And this is the core of our mission. We want to make sure that no patient is left behind. We want to make sure that every patient who needs access to high quality medicines is able to get those medicines at the point of need.
Now, following the increasing challenge of climate change in the country, more than 1,000 elephants, popularly known as the African bush elephants, located in Rimoi National Reserve in Elgeyo-Marakwet County, are in danger of extinction due to the challenges they are facing caused by human activities along the corridors they frequent when they move from Rimoi National Reserve to the Naselot National Reserve in Turkana County, several kilometers from Elgeyo-Marakwet County. Josh Onsare went there and brings us this report.
Rimoi National Reserve in Elgeyo-Marakwet County. This is home to a family of unique elephants known as African bush elephant. The elephants are known for their historical culture of migration by trekking several kilometers from Elgeyo Marakwet County to Naselot National Reserve in search of unique salt after giving birth.
They move in groups. We have a group of 100, 50, 30, 12, 8.
The female elephants migrate from the park between June and October. Philemon Kibet is the officer in charge of communications in the National Reserve.
One funny thing, kwa wale ambao wanatembea huko, wenye wanaenda huko, it is only expectant matters. Wanaenda huko mambo ya Salt Lake. Alafu wakirudi ni kukuja kusatu hapa. Hapa ni breeding ground.
According to Kibet, the animals are denied their rights of movement, hence experiencing many challenges on their way due to the invasion of people along the corridors.
Yeah, increasing population. Watu wameingilia kwa corridor yao, so wamelima karibu na so imekuwa na hiyo imekuwa kisuizi kikuu kwa wanyama. So hawana hiyo freedom ya movement.
The locals have intensified agricultural activities. All these activities triggered by growing population and the effects of climate change.
Wanapokuja assessment wanasema kuna mambo ya corridor. Na huko wako na shamba lao la kujungia hizi wanyama. So sisi tunaona kama inatujangisha hasira.
Nimepoteza karibu 1,500 mimi kama mkulima moja, lakini wenzangu wengine wamepoteza pesa mingi kupitia hii changamoto ya ndovu.
Despite scarcity of water due to the effects of climate change in the region, elephants are responsible for digging small water pans that provide them with water.
Ndovu akichimba mahali kama hapa inasaidia wanyama wengine kama warthog, impalas, wale the small animals wana benefit from the watering point by ndovu na
With the scramble for resources between the elephants and the community around Rimoi National Reserve, some residents of Elgeyo Marakwet County have threatened to kill the elephants if the government does not put measures to protect them from their crops.
Tunaomba serikali ikiwezekana watufuatilie kutufungia fence ili hao wanyama wasiingie kwa mashamba zetu. Ama la sivyo tunapatia serikali ultimatum mwezi moja ama wiki moja. Wasipo akti, sisi tunaingilia sasa kufahamia wanyama.
According to Kibet, a ranger in Rimoi National Reserve, wild animals contribute greatly to the protection of the environment despite the challenges they are facing.
The elephant, kwa harakati, they play an important role in fight climate change. Kwa sababu naona hii chakula vizuri, seeds, so inasaidia kwa distribution ya seeds. That's why unaangalia
environment and conservation stakeholders have been called upon to intervene and sensitize the residents on the importance of protecting the elephants so that they don't perish due to the challenges arising from the effects of climate change.
Number 2, the relevant authority, like county government, Kenya Wildlife Service, waanze kuelimisha watu umuhimu ya kulinda na kuhifadhi wanyama ya pori.
Joash Onsare, TV 47.
Wasn't that a wonderful piece? Something really, really powerful about those age-old animals. They're quite wise and quite smart as well. Apparently, they're one of the few animals that actually have emotions and very long memories for that matter. Thank you, Josh and Sari, for that. Away from matters conservation, and now let's get sporty.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets.
All right, now with just 17 days to the prestigious Magical Kenya Open, concerns are mounting among Kenyan golfers over the selection process for local participants. The tournament, scheduled from February 20th to 23rd, will feature 144 golfers from across the world. Yet only 8 slots have been selected, or rather set aside, for Kenyan players. Some golfers argue that unlike previous editions, there was no open qualification tournament, leaving them questioning the fairness of the selection.
Which is not fair at all. You cannot have a field of 144 players and then you only give your people of your country where you have sponsored a tournament, you only give 8. They have no chance. If you do the percentage, there will be a 0.01. 0.01. So you will not have a chance to get into that tournament at all. So you are giving money to foreigners from our country. That is not the way to do it. So I think this has to change from the body that is trying to organize this. This is not the way. If we have decided just to come and give foreigners money in our country, it's okay then.
Unfortunately, we didn't have that tour in Kenya last year, or we didn't have Safari Tour last year. So we don't also understand how they came up with that number, because we have a list of like 33 players who are going to play on 17th. They are not Kenyans. They are from Nigeria. Okay, let me say they are from Africa. But then there was no Safari Tour because according to the Kenya Open Golf Limited, they are saying these are supposed to be members of Safari Tour. There was no Safari Tour last year. So I don't want to say that we are denying other players from Africa a chance to play Kenya Open. It's fair we give them a chance, but then there is a way you're supposed to give them a chance. We have our local policies on how we work with other countries in terms of giving them, allocating slots when it comes to major events. As PGK, we have those policies and we understand how we go about it. It doesn't have to be a qualifier. It doesn't have to be a position whereby Kenyans are being told you can't play, but only other players from other countries can play. This is very unfair, by the way.
All right, and the National Athletics Championship weekend meeting is set to kick off its first leg on February 15th at the Mumias Sports Complex. This highly anticipated meetup follows the Athletics Kenya's National Cross-Country Championships, scheduled for February the 8th, and will serve as the first major test for athletes preparing for the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan.
This is the place where the National Cross Country Championship will take place the day after tomorrow, on Saturday the 8th. And we have gone round and looked at everything that has been done, and we are quite happy with the preparations. When you look at all the requirements that is needed to host a major event, particularly for the cross country, we can see that everything has been met by the team and the officials that have been here to set up this place here. So we are quite happy. I think by tomorrow everything will be in place, and then we'll be ready to host the event on Saturday.
Now let's look at something historical as well as sporting, and it's tragic. On February the 6th, 1958, tragedy struck Manchester United in one of the darkest moments in football history. The plane carrying the Busby Babes, as they were fondly known, crashed in Munich, Germany, following a stopover on their way back from a European Cup match against Red Star Belgrade. A total of 23 people lost their lives, including 8 Manchester United players. Boniface Kimanzi brings us more on this historic disaster.
The Red Devils will live to remember February 6, 1958. On this day, a plane carrying Manchester United players crashed due to severe winter conditions in Munich. The team had won 5-4 against Red Star Belgrade to reach semi-finals of the European Cup. Hit players who lost their lives were Geoff Bent, Roger Bain, Eddie Coleman, Duncan Edwards, Mark Jones, David Pegg, Tommy Taylor and Liam Whelan. Two of the club's most legendary figures, Sir Bobby Charlton and the manager Matt Babsey, also almost perished, but both recovered and led the club to their first European Cup in 1968, 10 years later. The tragedy rocked the club and global football to its core, but United showed incredible resilience to fight on and actually won the first leg of their semi-final against AC Milan before being soundly beaten 4-0 in Italy. Moreover, the valiant youngsters made their way to the FA Cup final before losing to Bolton Wanderers at Wembley. To mark the solemn occasion, there will be dedicated remembrance services held both at Old Trafford and in Munich a day like today. Boniface Kimanzi for TV47.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
Ladies and gentlemen, every Thursday at this particular time, you know what time it is. It's time for your weekly supercharged sporting action show, VAR, with the great Askofu Mutua, as we call him. Please keep it right here.
Are you ready to elevate your business game?
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.